Know
Like,
that.
let's not like during the half-hour spots. Like let's
Do
not
not
pause
stop.
because it will just leave and jump to the outside or side.
Good to know. Yikes. Okay. So it's recording now. So just you can pull up a seat, and then we'll come retrieve. You won't be here all day or anything like that. It'll just be for the first part.
Monitor from like I think it's locked once we get at it. Oh, it's open.
And then after, make sure
Yep, okay, perfect. That's easy. Yes, we'll grab the clicker and make sure that's working in here, and then I think we're good to go. Can I get you just to move that? I'm just going to reset. Can I just speak it one more time in front just so just make sure we're good with how it's moving, how it is?
Yeah. So you want me to?
Just rip away for about 2 minutes.
Okay. Here. I'm gonna start assembling the gimbal. Oh yeah. So if you put your phone in, get it balanced without the case, and then it'll vibrate like that. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about gimbals, everybody. So you get your batteries here. Put your batteries in the handle, like so. Then take the main gimbal, and then you put the batteries in, like that. And then you take the little tripod base that comes with it, attach it, like so. And then this is what gives you your sort of setup to actually put the camera in and balance it. So what I'll do is start to put the camera in and balance it, and then you can mosey around and shoot with it. So we're just going for like getting good coverage of the room, so when the main speakers are happening, we can also shoot that a little bit with this camera. But then they're going to break out into all these different rooms, and then we're going to shoot those too. So,
Alright, you good there? You just sit there if you want, because there are some people sitting down over there now.
okay, cool. So the sound's okay?
Yeah, as long as he's, again, I think folks is looking at it and projecting the voice to speak to the room, it'll
Yeah.
be fine. It goes a little low, but I think when you're speaking to the room, it'll be fine.
Okay. Alright, so let's move this over to the other side. So I'm going to gimbal part. Okay, and then the one is once that's in there. Good. Because the phone's small. Stretch this guy out. So it's supposed to get some now. It's You can still use it, but we moved the camera closer.
Okay, but we are gonna use this.
So we probably don't need one or
I don't think you really need it. We were testing without after, and it was fine. The only thing is that speakers should just. I was kind of doing tasks and talking into the desk a bit, and then it was a little harder to hear. But if they're speaking like we are now, it'd be no problem. So if they feel more comfortable with the mic, but I find a lot of speakers don't like mics. Like, so
I'm just thinking it's not really possible to use it too long.
sure.
Like having it just, listen to this.
It sure isn't hurt. I don't know where it went. It was. Maybe it's not here, right? Yeah. you comfortable doing that? Like you just loosen this a bit and then just kind of point it over like so, right? And then head back to here when they're back to talking.
Okay.
Okay.
Can this be like tall or
If you'd like, yeah, sure.
how do you change?
If you want, you can loosen this, and then you can put this up. So if you'd like, want to start there or
Start back down.
back down? Okay. Cool. Another thing I guess you could do. You might be able to.
Right here.
So yeah, like, and you have a fair bit of room on either side too. Like you can go like all where those steel bits are above. I don't see the TV right now, but we'll pan to catch that too. Oh, okay. So let's try like this maybe, and then maybe you could just that might be easier. What do you think?
Yeah, this is easy.
Okay, so this one here, I'm just gonna tighten this part off. This one here, you tighten by turning this. You turn it counterclockwise to loosen it. And then when you want to lock it again, you just turn it there, okay? That seems like a little easier, right? Yeah, okay.
It's pretty normal, so you can just be hearing.
So I said, we gotta go up front and park there. Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about that. If I bounce,
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start in just a minute, so if you aren't in a seat, could you please take one? Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Scott Miller, and I'm a superintendent here with the Waterloo Region District School Board. And I've just got to say, what an exciting day. Voices Conference Day 2. It is so great to see all of our students back from the various schools throughout our system here, and really excited to hear your presentations later today and sort of see all that hard work that's been going on over the last month. We also are really fortunate to have a number of guests here today. I'm going to just introduce in the back corner, we have some of our trustees here. Our chair of the board, Jane Herring, is there. Trustee Scott Biakowski. Trustee Barry Meisner. And we also have our Director of Education, John Bryant, here with us this morning. It's great to see just the community involvement. The other group we've been able to partner with today is the Child and Youth Planning Table. So there is a number of those community partners who are in the library actually as we're live streaming here this morning. So welcome to that team as well. And also again, a thank you to the incredible work that's been going on. This idea of the Voices Conference around meaningful conversations and significant actions is really a priority for our system. Your voices in this room, the student voice is so important to us. So it's great to hear what you believe we can do to make your school experience better. So we are really excited to hear your thoughts today and really see what we can do better as a system as we move forward. Also, I do want to take an opportunity to really think of the partnerships that we have, and it's great that we do have a number of community agencies here today too to hear what you're saying. The audience that you have today is a really powerful audience who also have just great contributions to our community and throughout our region. So with that, I'm going to call up a couple of our members of the Child and Youth Planning Table, Barb Cardo and Debbie Engel, to do a territorial acknowledgement and a welcome as well. So looking forward to a great morning, and thanks again for the commitment, the enthusiasm, and dedication that you've had over this last month.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Engel, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the Children and Youth Planning Table, but also work at Horizon as a Director of Community Services, so a community partner that we really value with the school board.
And I'm Barb Cardo, and I'm co-chair of the Children and Youth Planning Table, and I work at the Region of Waterloo as a Director of Children's Services.
We're really excited to be here, and I'm going to start by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee people, and we thank them for allowing us to do the great work that we do on their traditional lands.
And before I proceed, I just have a little bit to say, but I realize Debbie and I both need to change our photographs on our email. Debbie and I are both, and actually the whole Children and Youth Planning Table who are here in the other room are really excited to be here today and so excited to be invited by the Waterloo Region District School Board to join in Voices today. You need to know that at the Children and Youth Planning Table, our current focus is on how do we do a better job at listening to youth, and how do we do a much better job about engaging with youth and working together with youth to create a better community. And this is one major step for us as we move forward, and we're so excited to be able to be here with you today to experience the kind of work that you're doing, and to be able to provide our insights into the work that you're doing and to listen to your ideas and learn from you. But we also have two tables here as well of things that we're working on that we're very interested in getting your thoughts on. So thank you so much. We're looking very forward to the day, and hope you have a great day.
Fantastic. So you'll notice throughout our space here, and thank you for Conestoga College for hosting us, that there are agendas posted, and there's one at each pitch station. So this morning, we're going to start off with a few spotlight speakers. And our spotlight speakers are going to, just like you, have 3 minutes to share how they have been inspired to become engaged and involved in either their community, their work environment, their neighborhood environment, to solve a problem or to address a situation that they wanted to make a difference about. So our first spotlight speaker this morning is Laura May Lindo. And Laura May Lindo is one of the elected officials. She's a member of provincial parliament for the NDP party. And this morning she's going to come and share a little bit about her story. So let's welcome Laura Maywood.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so a little bit about my story. I can't actually speak a little bit about my story without speaking a little bit about the people that I partner with in order to do the work that I do at Queen's Park. So I'm gonna start with the fact that I never in my life thought that I would put my name on a ballot to become an elected official. That was not part of my plan. I was born and raised in Scarborough, Ontario. How many of you know where Scarborough is? Yay, clap for Scarborough, I love it. So I was totally born and raised in Scarborough. As a black woman in an area of Scarborough where most of the people were white. I often talk about this because I think it's really important for us to be honest about what we grow up with, who we grow up with, the kinds of issues that we encounter. And so I was often told that I was okay, like I was an average student, you know, I was kind of nice, so things were okay, but I wasn't going to do something big, like put your name on a ballot to become an elected official for Kitchener Centre. And so I thought I would be, well, I'll just be a musician. So I sang, and I was super cool with that. I thought that that would be the thing that I did to be able to get my voice heard. But I wasn't very good at songwriting. So then that made it harder because I had stories that I wanted to tell, but I didn't have a mechanism to tell that story. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So then I was like, well, what else am I gonna do? So I decided, well, I'll go to school because you might as well go to school, but I didn't have a very good time at high school. In high school, I have to be honest, I spent more time at the Kentucky Fried Chicken at the corner because at 11 o'clock is when they put on the fries and gravy, and that was my favorite. And so I would go into my family studies class, and I would say, pardon me, I'm feeling sick. And I would go to Kentucky, and I would eat fries and gravy. That's what I did. And so that, because I did that, again, I never thought that I was the kind of person or had the kinds of experiences or knowledge or information that would help to be an elected official. So I'm gonna zoom ahead. One day I was at Laurier. Right before I was elected, I was the Director of Diversity and Equity at Laurier. Also another job that I never thought that I could do. But somebody trusted that maybe I could, and so there we go, right? And I was hosting a conference about racism in the education system, and I invited an elected official. I invited Catherine Fife, who's the MPP for Waterloo, to come and speak about racism in post-secondary, so in universities and colleges. And she watched me organize the conference, and she came out to the conference, and one day she pulled me aside and she said, Laura May, would you consider running to be a member of provincial parliament? And I said, absolutely not. Because in my world, I'm the girl who ditched class to go to Kentucky and eat fries and gravy. So you know how sometimes in your head, you are the person, you are a bunch of experiences that other people aren't really paying attention to? Does that make sense? In your head, you're somebody different than what the world thinks you are? Okay, we're gonna stick a pin. That's what my people say. My people say stick a pin, and we'll come back to that thought. So we're gonna stick a pin. The person that you are inside is the person that I need you to be on the outside. What I realized in doing this job is that I had to show up. If I want to make change, I have to show up. And that means I show up at protests. In fact, I show up at student-led protests. Do you know how many protests I've shown up to where the students have been the voice? The students have argued about changes in education. They've argued about changes to the environmental policies. They've fought for climate change work. They have fought against the adults. And so I show up at those protests. I put my name on things now. I put my name on ballots. I put my name on ballots that in my head I think, but I'm just the girl that went to Kentucky. But then look at what I'm doing now. And I also tell other people to do the same. So I'm gonna end with one little example. I have 3 kids. My eldest daughter is 14. My eldest daughter, because of seeing me struggle with do I show up, do I put my name on things, whatever, decided she's going to put her name on things. She's going to take that risk and she's going to show up. Do you know where she showed up? Do you remember when the health curriculum was going to be pulled back? Do you remember any of that stuff? There was a change in the health curriculum. And my daughter identifies as queer and was really worried because the new curriculum wouldn't include her experiences for health. She wouldn't know what it was to be in a healthy relationship with a partner. So you know where she showed up? She showed up at one of the board meetings and she spoke to the Waterloo Region District School Board. And in speaking to the school board, she was able to find a way to tell her story to the adults who are supposed to be responsible for her. She's so proud because the chair of the board sent her a thank you letter. She has it framed and put beside her bed as a reminder to show up. So the very last thing I'm going to say to you is this. There will be somebody in your life that influences you, that makes you think, I can show up. Take a picture of them, put them in your wallet or in your bag or beside your bed, and remember that no matter what anybody says, you're more than just that little voice inside of you, you're that big thing making change in the world. Okay? Promise? Yeah? Okay. See you later, alligators.
Our next spotlight speaker is Kamal Singh, and she grew up in India and studied computer science at Delhi University. She now lives in Waterloo and works at Google, and she has recently become an author of a children's story. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her engagement story.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your time today. So the story that I want to talk about today is not how we design highly scalable and distributed systems at Google, but a more personal story of mine that's at the intersection of me being a mother of two, a woman of color, a first-generation immigrant, and a person in tech. So, I grew up in India. I grew up at a time in the 80s where there were not many girls or women in tech or studying computer science. Luckily, I had my role models as my parents, who were fierce feminists and always wanted to encourage me to pursue my path, but there was a lot of other sexism and discrimination in my external environment. What I did, the one experience that I want to talk about is how did I take my passion project to product launch. And that passion project is the book that I wrote, which is called Ara the Star Engineer, and why and how I made that happen. So hopefully that will give you some tips to apply your skills and succeed in life. So something that my daughter said to me, engineers are boys. And she was 4 at the time, she's 5 right now. When she said that to me, I was really bummed out, and it triggered something that I had been experiencing for, let's say, 30 years of my life, and made me put things into action to try to address the problem of lack of women in tech and that of lack of diversity. When I started researching more, I discovered that when it comes to children's books, only 5% of children's books are actually authored by people of color or feature people of color as heroes or as superheroes. We already know that girls start doubting their intelligence in STEM fields as early as 6 years old. And of course, we do know that while there's a lot being done in the world to encourage women and girls to pursue STEM and science, there's very little that's done in the pre-K category. And by that time, damage has already been done in the minds of young people. So I was reminded of Scully, Dana Scully from X-Files. While growing up in India, I saw her in the shows, and later on I discovered there was a research that was done by 21st Century Fox that people who saw Dana Scully while they were growing up, especially the girls, 75% of them ended up pursuing careers in STEM. So that was the kind of role model Dana Scully served to people across the globe in a country like India, in a remote part of India where I was watching that show. But there was a technical difficulty. She was white, I was brown, she had blonde hair, I had black hair. And so I started thinking, what if we could replicate the Scully effect in children's books, but for people of color? And that's how I came up with the idea of writing a book, but I had no idea how to do it. I'm not an author, I'm not from a creative background. I do not know how to build teams of this caliber to deliver such a product. But I had to shut off those voices, and I had to spark the positive voices. But I knew I wanted to do this. So fast forward to almost a year and a half, we ended up delivering a book that ended up being a bestseller on launch day. It was a bestseller on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Barnes & Noble, and all of that stuff. It is being translated in about 12 languages. There was a team that I gathered or put together of volunteers at Google, almost 40 people in 10 different countries and from very different specialties who worked on this project. We raised money. We raised about $200,000 to make the book and other bells and whistles that come with the book to happen. And of course, we're donating all the sales proceeds to a nonprofit that focuses on girl education. Now, the only reason this could happen, which is trying to create the Aura effect from Scully effect to encourage girls to pursue STEM, is because of these 4 things. And I want to leave with you these 4 C's. So in the story of the book, Aura and her sidekick droid Didi, they visit a fantastical land of Innovation Plex, which is inspired by Google Plex, where they meet a number of diverse role models to solve a problem. And their problem is to count the stars in the sky. And while they're doing this, they discover an algorithm of success. And this algorithm is comprised of these 4 C's, which is courage, creativity, coding, and collaboration. And I kind of want to leave you with these 4 C's because that's all of my engineering lessons as well. It's something that we apply every day in our life. So one is courage. Have the courage to take the first step first. There will be a ton of things that you do have to do. There will be decision trees that'll take you in many other directions, but everything starts from the first step. When you're passionate about something, other things will fall in place. Take the first step and try to optimize for persistence over perfection. We try to be perfect all the time, that we forget that it's okay to fail. So, that's something I remind myself all the time, optimize for persistence over perfection. Creativity. So, nobody quite cares about your cause till they see your passion. So it's okay to be vulnerable and show your passion and speak with your passion. And, that's what will motivate people to come help you out or to come join you in your mission. Code. And not so much the act of coding, but the act of computational thinking, which is really about breaking big problems down into smaller problems and tackling them one at a time. So decompose, as we call it, abstract. There will always be confusion in life, chaos in life, so abstract all of that. And don't let that stop you from doing the things that you can actually do. So abstraction, which is a very powerful tool in computing, is something that can be applied so well in real life as well. Collaboration. So yes, build your team. As an individual, you can do many things, great things, but I think as a team, you can do extraordinary things. So have trust in people, build a team, and then let them run with things. Show them that you trust them to run with things to make even bigger things happen. So that's that, and the end is always part of the journey to create something new and better. And I hope these 4 C's will remind you to take action and to take your passion projects to the next level to product launches. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. Our next Spotlight speaker is Michael Parkinson, and he is a member of the Crime Prevention Council, and he wants to assure you he is not a police officer. And he's going to share a little bit about how he's become engaged and used his talents and skills to make a difference in his community. Woo!
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm not a morning guy. I don't get up as early as you, and it pains me to do so, especially in such a bright room. But on behalf of the council and our collaborating partners, thank you for all that you do, for the work of Stephanie and others who have pulled this event together. And hopefully it's the start of a really long journey. I am indeed Michael Parkinson. I'm not a police officer, but I work with the council, and we work with police, we work with educators, we work with social agencies, and we work with citizens. And we've done a number of things. What's currently on the plate is the development of a youth engagement strategy for Waterloo Region. And not just any youth in particular, but the youth farthest from opportunities, the youth that maybe didn't have all the benefits growing up like I did. And somewhere in this picture, I'm in the back here, and the point of the picture is great social movements often start with one person, and they grow and they grow, and in Canada today we have so much to be grateful for, so much more work to do, as Laura May full well knows down at Queen's Park. This is a picture from Toronto. It was the Women's March after a certain president was elected in 2017, and a woman named Teresa in the US said, you know, I'm not so happy about the way this president is behaving towards women in particular, and started with an idea. It grew around North America, became the largest march in US history. So good ideas do often start with one person, and yeah, hit that video there. This is, I think it's from British Columbia, and you know, it's a guy dancing on a hill, and at first it might look a little bit freaky, you know, maybe he's been doing some dope, I don't know. But watch what happens when one person sort of steps outside of the box and tries to make great things happen. I've seen that kind of social change happen. My background is includes a lot of drug-related work, and you might have heard this thing about the opioid crisis that we're now facing. The council was on it more than a decade ago, and the things we were proposing then, like naloxone, like Good Samaritan laws, I mean, they were radical ideas. They were built on ideas from other communities, but now, you know, they're second nature, and the opioid crisis is still with us, of course. But I was that guy with no shirt for a while there, and then someone else came along. And that second person is so critical to forming a social movement, a group. I've always said you only need two people for a group. And now, of course, this is an issue that has consumed Canadians from coast to coast to coast. We have other, like, copious examples, and I'm not going to spend a whole day listing them. But there was a local high school about a decade ago that was running into lots of calls for police services. Literacy rates were low, truancy and expulsions were high, and a certain principal had an idea, and she pulled people together and really turned that boat around and set a model for other high schools, not just locally, but farther afield. And that work included work inside the school, but also very much work inside of communities. So with agencies, with police officers, with citizens, with local businesses, so on and so forth. So, you know, there's lots of great examples in Canada of those kinds of people who have had an idea and inspired people to take action. It's the reason women have the right to vote. I mean, it wasn't always that way. It's the reason you can walk into a hospital if you have to and get free health care. It's the reason if you're lucky enough to have a job and you get laid off, there might be some coverage. It's the reason we have social assistance systems and so on and so forth. And all the good stuff that you know, rarely gets talked about, that's not formalized by government. The point of those kinds of stories is that change didn't start at the top. It didn't start with a government official or maybe an executive director saying this is the kind of stuff we should do. In my experience, all that really great stuff has started from the grassroots. And yeah, it's a struggle at first, but you know what? It's a really good time. So yeah, you're driving towards something, but eventually, you know, people come on board, and there's lots of personal benefits. So my hope going forward with the Council and the Waterloo Region Youth Engagement Strategy is that people like yourselves and people outside of this room will come together to inform that strategy to make Waterloo Region a much better place inside schools, in terms of the way police act, in terms of the services that are available, and hopefully much more upstream solutions. We know the root causes that lead to crime and victimization, that lead to premature death, and so on and so forth. We also know that that those most affected by policy and programs are rarely included in those decisions and rarely delivering them. So that's our focus. We want to see people who are, maybe victims of childhood abuse, trauma, neglect, people struggling with mental health, with addictions, people with low or no income, people who wonder, if there's going to be food in the fridge when they get home from school or from work and that kind of thing. Those are the folks we're hoping to attract. So Alyssa and myself will be at table 3 later on this morning. Come over and have a chat with us, and let's make equity great again. Let's make this Waterloo Region Youth Engagement Strategy the success that it can be, and lead the way not just in Ontario but across North America. And we want to see people, just to back the previous slide there, we're not interested in tokenism. So if you decide to get involved, or your peers decide to get involved, we want to see full engagement and help drive this thing alongside the allies that are in this room and outside of this room, and so on and so forth. So to close with a quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Ready to get into our full activities for phase 2. But before we do that, what we really need to do is bring you back to phase 1. And so for our friends who weren't with us, we have a compilation of some of the activities that we did. And so shout out to the WCI team that did some filming and has put together this video. But it tells the story of what happened on March 1st, and then we'll get into what's going to happen today.
I think I'm proud of returning to school and being fully committed to it, and just accomplishing all my credits and getting the grades that I want.
I got my credits.
Yeah, I got an 87 in math. You already know.
Yeah, I got a 97 in math too. Granted, it was workplace, but we got our credits.
By the time I graduate, I hope I'll be going to all my classes and getting good marks in all my classes.
So I hope to have learned by the time I graduate how to help people more and how to fix problems in school and in the community.
Like how to not just follow other people, but how to be my own person.
How you can hope to succeed in life. How you can, correct the wrongs that we've done.
It's really nice to hang out with other kids who like the same thing as me and kind of accept me for who I am.
That's just one of the biggest parts of how making school better. And just when you have a teacher or an adult that you can talk to and isn't going to judge you.
I guess my favorite spot in my school is the art room, because the teacher man, Miss Westmont, is one of the most easiest teachers to talk to about lots of stuff. She has helped me pass most of my courses.
Favorite space in school and why, and I chose student success. It's a room where we go and teacher helps us with stuff that we probably failed or we just need help on. And I like that place just because a teacher named Mrs. Dolman helps us out. A lot of students there, and she helps us with stuff, and she makes it much easier to me. That's a space where I can express myself.
I think understanding would be the best thing that staff can do to support us.
I believe that they can have one-on-one contact with all the students and ask them if they're okay and just be there to support them.
Connection between teachers and students.
as in it has the greatest impact. Like towards like learning and education, because students, like if they don't have that connection with the teacher, then they're not gonna have that same kind of connection that they're gonna want towards their school and learning.
My vision was to bring together students from all 16 schools plus our returning site to really spend some time getting to the root of how can we make our schools better places, how can we make them more engaging, how can we make them more safe and inclusive, and really be hearing from the kids who are living and breathing that struggle on a daily basis to come to school, enjoy school, and feel like it's a place that they really want to engage in.
We do have a say in things, and I think this will really change the schools, that they gave the students a voice for once.
Be a voice, not an echo.
Okay, we are just about at a moment this morning where we are going to see the student presentations. And in watching that video, I'm sure many of you who were part of that first day reflected on what a powerful day it was. The word connection I heard over and over again, the importance of the adult-student relationship and how important that connects us to school. And with that thinking, I want to thank all the staff and the adults who are here today and being those advocates for the students, making those connections and building those relationships. And I think we'd like to give our staff a big round of applause for the work that they've done. And since we're all together too, I think it's a good time to do a couple other thank yous in case some people aren't here at the end of the day. Days like this, opportunities like this don't just happen. And you heard the leader of this group mention a vision that she had, and Stephanie Morris, to my left, came to me a little while ago, and she's a consultant in learning services with this vision of bringing a group together and really saying, how do we get this student voice? How are we able to bring these people together with the idea of presentations, with the idea of sharing with us, our school system, what would make your experience exceptional. Stephanie has taken the role once we went forward, built a steering committee around the room. You see a variety of people in t-shirts who have been part of this day. But the coming together really was a vision of hers. Her leadership brought us to this point, and I want to thank Stephanie and the team. Okay, so we are pretty much there for the exciting part of the day and everything we've been waiting for. So we're really looking forward to the various presentations. But before we get there too, I think one more thank you is to all the students in this room who have come together, have given and shared some of their ideas, taken those opportunities to speak on a video where we've heard your voice already this morning, but I think that is just sort of setting the stage for what we're about to see. So thank all of you for your efforts today, and we look forward to the next couple of hours. Thank you.
We're a teeny bit behind schedule, but that's all right. What we're going to do is start our pitches now, so we'll probably begin around 9:20, and that will bump back our refreshment break and our tours. Our tours are going to kick us off right after we're done the first set of pitches, and so we're going to aim to start our tours at about 10 o'clock. So in a minute, I'm going to show you a map, and you can see where you're going to meet at 10 o'clock. The tours will go until about 10:25, and then we'll have a refreshment break from 10:25 to 10:35. Okay, so the things you need to remember: tours at 10, and then the next round of of pitches will start at 10:35. So the pitches themselves. This is a floor plan of what you'll see outside, and we've done a couple of things to make our movement and flow today fairly simple for you. So the first thing you need to know is that on your name tag, there'll be a number, and if you don't have a name tag, that's okay, just jump in at a station and follow the rotation. The number is going to tell you what station to start at, and then the rotations are going to go in a circular motion. There's a little sign on each table that tells you what station to go to next, in case you forget. But we're going to be going, the rotation is 1, 3, 5, 7, and then 6, 4, 2. So we're going to go odds and then evens, okay? But again, there's a label on each table to help you get there. The other thing I wanted to mention is that on the agendas that are throughout the floor, there is our hashtag for today. So as you're hearing great ideas, you're taking pictures, you want to capture or do some shout outs, please feel free to do that as you're going around the stations. The stations themselves are 3 minutes, so each team will have 3 minutes to pitch. And then there will be 2 minutes for the audience, and our audience groups will be about the size of 20. We'll have time to give some feedback. And so at your first pitch station, there'll be a pile of golf pencils and notepads. So that's where you're going to start. You're going to pick up your feedback. Each station table has a little bin. So as you're moving, you're going to leave your feedback behind. Take your notepad with you as you rotate. And then the last station before you head off to your tours, you're going to leave your notepads there. Okay? And then the last part is, yeah, leave the notepads there. So we're ready. I'm excited to hear what ideas we have and 10 o'clock tours, okay? All right.
It went okay except for the video. But I think we can just share it like with the participants after or something. So
they don't need to screen for this like you're doing your screen.
So I'll leave this thing plugged in and stuff, but I'll just take the phone.
Sounds good.